Well, hello again. It's David. Uh, it's been fun taking some time off. To be honest with you, those that have asked, I'm still here. I have pursued other interests up until this point in time, and taken some time to just smell the roses. You know, I have well, I've up until I took my time off and closed my books in December of 2012, I had been trading for 25 years of my life, and that was, I guess you can say it was just burnout. You know, I got what's called trader burnout. I guess is um, no really particular reason. I wasn't failing as a trader. I wasn't doing extremely bad as a trader. I just got really burned out of the day trading scene. You know, there you noticed that I was trading crude oil at the time that I was working very diligently. And those that know that, that's kind of pretty much a 24/7 market now, between Sunday when it opens up at 6 o'clock Eastern roughly to closing at 5 on a Friday, right, in the afternoon Eastern time. So, you know, having just being up around the clock, you know, sometimes I think it's a young man's game as far as how trading goes, and was looking into where and what I would like to accomplish now, being 47 years old and not getting any younger, and I've been thinking about exactly what I want to do. Haven't actually formulated all of everything in my head of exactly what I'd like to accomplish at this point in my life, but you know, day trading is something that it was fun, but I don't know if I ever want to get back into that realm again. I think that swing trading and positional trading and maybe perhaps holding overnight. I know it can be extremely volatile to hold overnight, especially in the futures market. But I believe as an overall trading strategy, maybe perhaps doing some spread trading that you could, for instance, taking the 30-year versus the 10-year and spreading against that, you can minimize your your risk, I guess, in that sense. But you know, the concept called delta neutral, correct? What have I been up to? And I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take about 15 minutes here, 10 to 15 minutes just to talk today, and just say kind of where I've been and where I think I'm going, and where I plan on going here. You know, I pretty much, well, I got involved once I stopped trading in December of 2012. I started pretty much buying and selling precious metals, um, getting into that, refining. I looked at actually setting up a refinery in my house, but I never did do that. And no, I don't keep all that stuff at my house anyway. So, but anyway, so that long story short, I really got into. I like to buy silver coins. I like to buy. Well, gold, I really lay off of that. I think that's just way too expensive. I still believe that's way too expensive. Um, well, at least for my personal taste, I believe silver is undervalued as well, and it continues to be undervalued. And um, I believe that the U.S. economy is a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Um, I think there's a lot, you know, I think it's a house of cards, and I've thought that for quite a long time now. And we continue to move forward in the house of cards and printing money. And as Bernanke, the former Federal Reserve president, used to say, that if helicopters didn't work, he would use bombers to start dumping cash down. So I don't see. I know the monetary easing and all this other crap that's going on has been the talk. Hmm. When I think about trading, I think about a lifetime that I've spent in this particular realm, and would I advise someone to come into trading if knowing what I know now? And I think bottom line, you got to be passionate about whatever you decide to do in life. Now, my passion for many, many, many years was trading, and therefore it was a very good endeavor for me. Now, I wasn't successful out the gate. Well, actually, I was successful out the gate, and that was probably the reason why the first time that I blew out my account, it hurt. And then I did it again. I mean, I was successful again, and then I blew out another account. So, hard knocks, called the school of hard knocks, right? That's what I went through. I mean, when I first started in futures trading years and years ago, I remember this dude from, why you call him the dude with the 10-gallon hat. And Ken Roberts was his name. And I learned from, I got a mailer in the mail, and I just started trading. I used his trading firm that he recommended. And back in the day, it was $100 a round turn to get in and out of the market. So pretty much $50 a side. That is, and I thought I got a huge discount when I moved to the next trading firm, and I lowered that $100 commission to $35. So I thought that was a real good deal back in the day. And now, obviously, the round turns today, if you're paying anything more than $5 a round turn or $2.50 per side, then you're getting robbed, right? So the cost of doing business obviously has decreased in that sense. Electronic trading back in the day, trading places and orange juice and when I got really interested in trading, the movie that I remember watching was Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd called Trading Places, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. And the whole movie goes around the Mortimer brothers and how they and if you've never seen Trading Places, as being a new person out in trading, I highly recommend that you take some time, because it's got some history in it as well, because some of those pits are no longer there. In fact, most of that open outcry is gone, if not, well, it is gone. It's been gone. I remember back in the day, you used to be able to turn on CNBC when it first came out, and they would show Friday's employment report and show the bond trading pit, and people were all there ready, and it was all quiet in anticipation of that. And being able to go into this environment, in that kind of environment where the yelling and screaming and pushing and shoving and just all of that went with it, was just a neat thing. At least in my humble opinion, it was an extremely neat thing that I grew up with. But today we live in a different world. Electronic trading is the norm now. To be able to it's amazing how technology has developed over the years. I remember when I first started as a trader, I got my charts out and I hand drew in my high, low, open, close bars on my weekly charts that would come in the mail. Usually they get here at my house on a Saturday. And then I would start with that weekly chart, and I would monitor the markets that I was looking at. Now, what made the futures market appeal to me as opposed to mutual funds and stocks and all the other stuff that's out there, and still all the other stuff that's out there, I believe the futures market still is the best opening foray for anyone that's entering into trading. You have to be able to recognize the risk of the side of that, but the other side of this is it's the lower cost. Now, it's been said that trading is the easiest, hardest game ever, right? I think it's it's easy to enter. Anybody can enter. It's kind of like my wife would say, you don't need the diploma to have a baby, right? You don't have to have a graduate degree to be a trader. If you got the money, the broker will take your money and you can get set up and with all the bells and whistles, and you can trade. Doesn't mean you're going to do any good, but all you need for this kind of environment is to sign off on some paperwork, and you're on your way to most likely being part of the 95% that's going to lose in the market, like I was back in the day when I first started. Well, I should say, back that up. I had success to start with, and then I got the big head, pride hit in and whatnot. But what about me? What happened? What started me down this career of trading? And when I first got involved in trading, I just was like, I started about age, I guess about 16, 17-ish area, right in through there. And I got a job at Federated Investors when I graduated college. Became a bond trader there. I used to call that the fastest 15 minutes of trading ever. Trading $15 billion inside of 10, 15 minutes and putting them into money markets and whatnot was really exhilarating. And then the letdown after that, and time was over. It's like, now what do you do? In 1997, I went out of that particular environment and went into private money management trading with a firm, and then I went into independent trading on my own. When did I start that? 2007 or 8, I believe, is when I started independently trading on my own, and I started the company that I incorporated called Knight Capital Management, and I started my blog called 123daytrade.com later on. Before that, I was on Blogspot, and all that's documented. You can go and search to your heart content the material that I've put out over the years. Now, what am I looking to accomplish here with the last couple of minutes I want to talk about? I want to put together from A to Z everything that I know about trading and how, I mean, not only do you need to be just to know the ins and outs of it, the psychology of trading is probably, I believe, is the most important component. I mean, you can have a great trading system, you can have all the bells and whistles, but if you don't have yourself together, I think that's where the most people fail. There's a lot of reasons why people fail in this industry, and some of it's undercapitalization, some of it is just, you shouldn't even have been involved in it. But I think the majority of the problem that people run in this industry is that they expect to get rich overnight and quick and whatnot. I know I did. When I first looked at futures, I thought, man, this is going to be the quickest, fastest way to make $1 million in my lifetime. And it took a long time to reach that goal. But, I also know what it's like to live like the Apostle Paul or Peter or whoever said that. He says that he lived with a lot, he lived with a little, but I always like to say I like to live with a lot more. So I believe that's the Apostle Paul who said that, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm at the 13-minute mark. I think this will wrap up today. I just kind of wanted to just get out here and let you know my head's starting to come back around into this. And it's taken 2 full years. I mean, in fact, it wasn't until roughly the end of July-ish that I started thinking about any of it. In fact, when I looked up at my trading station, which I'm in right now, in my monitors, my 4-monitor system I got set up and all this thing that's in front of me, I looked up at my calendar and I hadn't changed the calendar from June over to August. So I don't spend a lot of time in my trading room. This is my home office. I got it behind me. I don't spend a lot of time in this room anymore, except to accumulate junk, it seems like. But, and that was on purpose. I decided to do that on purpose. I needed to divorce myself completely to see if I still have the passion and drive to work this in the future. And it's slowly starting to come back. And I think what I want to do with the rest of my life is to help other people be successful in trading. And I think that is going to end up being my mission now, to eventually help you, the individual trader, be successful from any walk of life. I believe that in the last little minutes that I have here, if you go back and look at some of my videos and content, I believe, depending upon, you can have a doctorate degree or you can be a janitor sweeping a room. You can be successful as a trader. It doesn't matter your walk of life. What really comes down to is your training and your passion and your desire. Desire is going to be one of the biggest components, and your why. This is Dave Knight here, and I look forward to having some more fireside chats with you in the future. Thank you. Talk to you later. Bye now.